Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's October the 15th. I believe today's Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah, Tuesday. For some reason, it doesn't feel like Tuesday, but today's Tuesday, October the 15th. This will be our chart lesson for today. What I see is a big trading range. There's also the slight possibility that you got an upslope. And let me get this off here. Upsloping channel. You can see that you got a couple of swings there, but we broke above it there. We got a couple here, and so if it's valid, we should overshoot it by about the same amount, which would put us right down here on the range again. So I think you were probably just as good going with the trading range as trying to use the channel, but it's there. If you saw that, and I know at least one or two people saw it because they sent me emails about it. But I want to do something else that I don't normally do, and the only reason I'm doing this is because they just happened to send me their chart, just about the time that I was getting ready to do the video, and really the gist of what their email said was they were really frustrated. They waited 2.5 hours for a perfect setup. They saw it, they took it, and it failed. And what are they doing wrong? This happens over and over. And I look at their chart, and it's anything but a perfect setup. If I'm looking at it properly, they went short right in this area right here, right before this little break up. And I'm going to actually just put their chart over here, and I hope they don't mind me doing this, but this is to help them. I won't call their name or anything. It's a couple of people that are trading together, I guess, that sent this to me, and they'll recognize their chart, a man and a wife. And this is where they went short, and you can see there's no entry there at all. So they're missing something. They don't understand. I don't know if they've read the manual or not, but they don't understand the setup. Um, they're pointing this out as their signal bar. Well, there's no break below that signal bar, so there was nothing to trigger it to begin with, but then it's a terrible signal bar on top of that because it's a doji. Notice how it's got a big stem at the top, a stem at the top, a big stem at the bottom. There's one right beside it that's got the same thing. I mean, that's overlap. That's congestion right there. And they've got all these other EMAs on here. I don't even know what all this stuff is, but it's just it just looks real cluttered right there. And that alone is enough to see that it's not a good place to enter. And if they were waiting for 2.5 hours, look at this failed second entry long here. Notice the new high, first entry pullback, second entry. Look at that signal bar, great signal bar. And that would have been a better trade than this one. I don't like this one for certain reasons, and I've marked this on my chart. I'll talk about it. It's a great signal bar. That's what a signal bar should look like. Look how it opened up here, traded up here, and then closed on its low. But you don't go short, and you got to put a stop right there, and you only go short if it breaks below. And if it breaks below, you got triggered. Your stop goes above the signal bar, and you would have gotten a little nervous on this one. But look, it moved on down, easy scalp, and then it bounces. But that's what usually happens on a trap. They usually, very rarely, that if you're on the right direction, that a second entry failure doesn't give you at least a scalp. Then you get another halfway decent bar here. A break of it would have given you an easy scalp. But look, here's the really best entry out of this whole move down. Notice you got a new high here, so it's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Look at that signal bar coming down right there, and a stop right below that. It triggers, and look, that was just you were out in 10 seconds. I mean, no heat. That trade took no heat at all. That's the perfect setup. Um, doesn't look that good on my chart, but if this was my chart. And then another couple of things here. Look at their trend line. It's not touching prices anywhere except right there and right there. It's not drawn right. It's steeper. It's coming down right through here, and you got a trend line break here and a second entry short, and you got two legs down to a new low, and then it reversed. So if you had your trend line drawn properly and your channel drawn properly, you would be expecting a possible trap here, or a possible different setup here. Um, we really were looking for prices to go lower here because of the trading range and the fact that we haven't gotten to the lows yet. But at least by drawing your short-term trend lines, you would have been alerted to the fact So there's many reasons. This is a horrible setup. There's nothing good about this setup, and why they went short right here, I don't have any idea. There's no trigger. There's not a good signal bar. They're calling this the signal bar. It's just a big doji with an overlap on. Look at all those overlapping bars and all the tails on both sides. This is just a little trading range, and you got to be able to recognize that. And you get a little break out of the trading range, so then you get a chance to go short again on the way back down. And when you look at my chart, I think it'll be a little more clear. Here's that same area on my chart. It's real obvious that this is a trading range here, and then here's the signal bar that I was waiting on. I was ready to go short right there, but it didn't trigger, so it went higher. And so then here's your next signal bar, and it broke below that one, and look, it goes down. It had to work a little bit, but that was an easy scalp. And then you could have done the same thing. There was another one right here. This is all happened since I started doing the chart lesson. And guess what? We broke out the top, we broke out the bottom and failed, and we're probably going to get back in here. Whether or not we'll get on down here to this low or that trading range is going to hold with those two lines. Of course, I moved them off mine because I think it just cluttered up the chart. But you gotta follow the rules, which is to wait on a signal bar, and then that signal bar has to close. So if you're entering before that signal bar close, here's a good example of what happens on a bar. This bar opened here and traded all the way down here. It was looking really, really bearish, but by the time it closed, look, it closed right back where it started. And does that look bearish now? No. So you got to wait on the bar to close. This was a great bearish looking setup right here. But what would have happened if you would have guessed that prices were going lower and entered right there? And I think that is where they entered. Guess what? It bumped up, broke out the top, and then turned down and gave you a chance to get short on a second entry. Here's a new low, first entry, pull back, second entry. I was ready to go short there, but it never broke below my bar. So I wait until I get another setup, and then it doesn't come to here. And then you can go short right there. And this is still not a great setup. It probably would have been better to wait on the second entry right here and go short. But this fit our rules. It's a second entry off the top. It's a failed break out of this little trading range. There's several reasons to like that short right there. But you got to wait on the setup to trigger, and it didn't trigger. And then of course they had their line drawn something like that right there. And that's just, notice how it's not touching anything until right there and right there. That's how they were touching. And then let's copy this and carry it over, and they had it like that right there. And you can see that, yeah, it's touching a few places, but it's not holding prices neatly. You want to see touches, multiple touches, all the way down. Now look at my little channel. It touched it there, there. It's touching it there, there, there. Then you get the break, the two legs down, and then it tries to rally out of there. It's correcting now. And that's what you expect to see. And notice this channel right here. Notice how it's holding prices all the way up. Then you get the break, try to retest, and it can't do anything, and it goes lower. It gives you a second entry short. It broke above that bar first and then had a stop waiting there. Easy trade. And here's that second entry short on my chart. See, it doesn't look very good on my chart, but it's still a failed second entry long. Look, there's your new high, first entry, pull back, second entry. You had a nice setup looking bar, so it tricked people. But I didn't like it specifically. I thought it was real aggressive because you can see it's more like congestion on my chart, and usually prices are going to break out and pull back and give you another chance to enter, and that's exactly what happened. It broke out the low side, pulled back, broke out the top side, and you get your trend line break right there and a chance to go short, moving down, a second entry for your second leg down, and then it corrects for a while. And you can see we broke out the top of that trading range, failed, come down, we broke out the low side, failed, and now we're getting back in it again. That's exactly what you expect to happen. So you got to know what's going on. You got to draw your channels properly. Here's another one. I drew it off these first couple of swings here using the closes, and then you drag it down, and guess what? It fits perfectly. Then you get the break, a couple of legs down, and it reverses out of there. This was kind of news driven. They came out talking about the feds came out talking about something. That was a great chance to get long. I actually had a full stop on a big set today, And so first trade I had was a loser. I was down $1,000 today. Right out, just boom, that quick. First trade. And this trade right here made it all back and got me back within, I think, $150 of my total today. So, um, I mean, it just shows you can still take a full stop. And I'm talking about I was carrying a full load. When I say a full load, I had a bunch of contracts on. So I got burned right there. And that happens sometimes. But, you know, you can still come back from it. So anyway, let's talk about the trades. Lots of trades today. Uh, Again, I drug in late this morning, so I didn't get the, I mean, you could have made all the money you wanted right here on these first couple of trades. And you wouldn't even have to trade, if you're here that early, that is. And you don't even have to fool with all this other gook today. But look right in here. That is the worst place of all day you could have entered. And there's so many other easy to spot setups in here that I just don't know why, you know, you'd wait 2.5 hours for that trade. And I'm not picking on that person. This is constructive criticism, and it was a good chance to put my chart up there, and hopefully that helped you. You see now what I was looking at, and you see why it was not a good place and why it probably failed. Most of the time, if you're reading the price action right, and the setups are, or you're reading it properly, they don't fail very often. Sure, any trade can fail. Nothing is ever written in stone. But it's very rare that when you're reading the price action that a trade fails. If it fails, 9 times out of 10, you likely read the price action wrong. I can promise you that. And you know, I'll get people, and this is not even directed to the people who send me the chart, but I get it over and over. People will send me their chart, and they say it was a perfect setup, and it failed. You know, did I read something wrong, or did that trade just fail? And they might have 3 of them on there like it. And, you know, if you got 3 perfect setups and they all 3 failed, you're not reading the price action right. I can promise you, because that many perfect trades do not fail. They don't fail that often. So it's not to say that they can or don't, but when you start to get a lot of losers, you're reading something wrong. I can assure you of that. And so anyway, let's talk about this, the trades on here, and we'll go from there. This was the first trade that I saw after the 7 o'clock hour, and I'm going to start trying to get back in here at 7 soon. But I've been being lazy, but you really hadn't, you know, I've shown you over and over, you don't have to be here at 7. Usually I like to come in at 7 because I like to get done and be out of here by noon and do the video and all. And here it is almost 1 o'clock, and I'm just now doing the video, and then I got to upload it and all that. So I won't get out of here till 2 or 3 o'clock today. But if I'd have come in at 7, I guarantee I would have made all my money easily, stress-free, right on these 3 trades, and I could have been done, waited till about 11 o'clock, done the video, and been out of here at noon or so. But, you know, that's the way it goes. If you're lazy, you come in late, then you got to trade a little harder and maybe longer. And I'm really mad at myself because of that first trade today where I got tripped up, and I just got fooled. And it happens sometimes. But anyway, regardless, you know, sometimes you have losers, and that's what happens to you. And, you know, I'll just show you where I got tripped up. I got tripped up right here. So I took a full, I believe it was right here. Yeah, it was right here. I took a full stop right out of the gate this morning, two full points on, I'm talking about I had a full load on. So I got burned. I mean, it was $1,000 right out of the gate. That's what it cost me this morning. And, you know, I'm mad at myself about it. And I should have had my stop right here. I shouldn't have taken but maybe 5 or 6 ticks stop. I really should have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the most, maybe 5, because it was obvious I was trapped there. But it happened so fast I couldn't even move my stop, and I was stopped out. I mean, it just rocketed out of there and caught me off guard, and I wasn't really paying attention. I should have been. And but I got a chance to make it all back, and so made it all back and still almost hit my target. I'm going to miss my target today because I'm done. It's, you know, I don't want to sit here anymore and look at it. And you know, turned what could have been a disastrous day of losing $1,000 on your first trade into a winning day, and almost still hitting my target. So it can be done. And I took 3 trades today. 1 was a loser, 2 winners. And but man, this was a moneymaker right here. And you know, so that's all I can say. But anyway, let's talk about the trades. Hopefully that helped the couple I was talking about. Hopefully that was, showing that other chart was helpful to everybody, so you can see. But you got to understand what we're doing. And I'm guessing, I don't know, but based on the way they're entering, I'm guessing they probably never read the manual. And you don't have to read the manual, but if you're trading live and you don't know how to enter and how the entries work, then you know, you know, I would suggest that you make sure you understand or buy the manual and read over it or whatever. And I'm not trying to hawk my manual to anybody because you can learn it all right here. But I hope they're trading on the simulator. I don't know if those are live trades or not. That was a live trade or not. They didn't say, but they seem really frustrated, and I can understand because it's frustrating when you lose and you don't understand why. But hopefully that was helpful and you saw why you lost and you understand now why you lost on that trade. So, but we're 16 minutes into this. I got quite a few trades to talk about and haven't talked about any of them. So let's get started. This was the first trade I saw after the 7 o'clock hour. Um, you've got a double top up here. You're moving down. You got a nice trend line right there. It kind of works off the lows. It bounces back. You get a nice reversal bar. And it is 2 legs up. Uh, Based on my chart, it's only a first entry, but you can see there's a leg up, a little correction right there, and a second leg up, and then a nice reversal bar. It's a retest of this breakout area right here. It's a second entry on a smaller chart. It's a nice reversal bar. It's right off a suspected trend line. I liked everything about it. I got your stop above and follow the rules. Look at that thing go. Man, I wish I'd have been here for that. But you might have even got shaken out here. But if you see it come up here and close, touch that line again, and then turn back down and go below, you could have entered even here because there's plenty of room to get out before here. So there's a couple of ways to play that. But that doji kind of makes it. If I'd been trading, I'd have got nervous on that doji. I know I would have. I don't think I would have let that shake me out. But you never know what you might do versus what you actually will do when you got your money on the line. So you got to think about that. Then guess what? You get another 2-legged correction here. Look at that bearish. Look, that's a signal bar. That's what you want to see. And your stop goes right below it. You got to wait for it to complete and close. And then when it closes and it closes, like that, put your stop right there. It breaks below it, triggers it, and it goes straight down. You're out in you're out in less than 30 seconds. And your runners just keep on going, and you can ride your runners all the way down to guess what? The low of the overnight session, and that's where it bounces. And aggressive trader might even thought about going long there, but with this channel and that being the first break and a new low, I would have waited. And you might have gotten caught here, but there's too much overlap. When it breaks higher and turns down, there's you another. Look at that perfect signal bar. Closes on its very low. Put your stop right there, and off to the races it goes for another leg down. So you got a nice channel, a break, 2 legs down to a new low, and guess what? It reverses, just what you would expect to happen. And aggressive trader, I really wanted to circle that in green, and I think I will. Aggressive trader, you got a double bottom, that break lower, you got the channel, the break. Aggressive trader might take that, but that's really bearish. You just about have to wait on the second entry, but I'm guessing there's some. But the fact that it's this far away from the EMA, that generally, it's generally going to snap back. So that's a reversal bar, and then look at it come back. And guess what? It doesn't really, you don't get rejection till right here. It looks like, look at that signal bar. Man, that looks like a beautiful signal bar. And, but if you already know what's happened, you got to be thinking, hey, this is where a trap's going to come. But regardless, even if you put your stop below it, guess what? It never triggered. And you wouldn't have got triggered into a bad trade. That's what I'm trying to say. You got to follow the rules on entry, because it keeps you, as well as putting you in the trade at the right time, it keeps you out of trades that don't work. If you'd have guessed and said, prices are surely going to break lower here, and you enter in the middle of this bar somewhere, guess what? You got burned. So don't do that. Now this was a second entry long. I still felt like it was a little bit aggressive. It is back inside this double bottom, and it did bounce kind of right in there, right across those lows there. You can see that. And it is a kind of reversal bar, but there's a lot of overlap there. couple of dojis. So I still felt like it was kind of aggressive. I believe I would have taken that if I'd have been here. And you can see it was an easy, quick scalp, and prices just keep going higher. And again, and two, there's a failed second entry short right here. I probably should, I'm gonna circle that one in lavender because, I almost could circle that one in green, but I think we need to talk about this one. And guess what? This is a failed second entry short when it broke above this bar. Once it made the second entry short, as soon as it breaks above any bar before getting a scalper's profit of 4 ticks, it's a failed second entry. And that when it broke above this bar right here, that's when it became a failed second entry. And you could have gone long right there. If you would have scalped out of this okay, because look, it never came back below that bar and took out your stop. It tried to, but it couldn't. And I think you actually would have scalped out on this bar right here. Your entry would have been at 99.75. And it would have taken this bar right here to scalp out. So you would have had to ride that out. But the reason I don't like it is all that overlap. If you had drawn a trend line kind of up across these closes, you'd see that we're bouncing off something there. And that's how I got this trend line on the blow. I just kind of drug it off those highs right there and pulled it down. And you can see, and when it bounced right there and then right there again, you got to take that. That's like a breakout pullback long. Look at that. That's rejection off the EMA, the trend line. That's what you want to see. And that's where all the big trades happen usually. And look at that thing go. Whew. Easy money. And you got to be figuring that we're coming off the lows. Now we're heading to the highs, maybe up to here, but at least probably up to here. Definitely to here, probably here, and maybe even up here. And you can see we went right through that, came back and tested that, then went right to this next area and found resistance and couldn't go any higher. And you got a break of the trend line here, a retest of that high. Look at that reversal. I think because it broke higher first and then came down, you could have had a stop waiting right there. Easy, straight down. There's a failed second entry long there, kind of like this one over here. Aggressive trader probably would have taken it. I mean, these failed second entries, they work, but that one's aggressive because look at all that overlap, and you expect it to come back, to snap back, and it did, and then you get another chance to enter maybe. And that came right here, and I was tempted to draw this one in green too, but you got that little trap there. I really would have liked to have seen it go out this side first and enter on a stop, but it didn't. So you still could have used a stop right there because you got that trap. You're looking for a new low. You're looking for a retest of this low down here, and you can see it pretty much tested that and bounced. And this is kind of a news-driven item, and guess what? Usually news-driven items come back pretty quickly and take it all back, and it kind of resets, and that's what happened right here. We worked all the way back down here and took all that back. But look at that. That is rejection. Look at that. It broke below that bar, real bearish looking, runs on its high, closes on its very high. I use a stop right there. I wasn't going to take a chance of missing that trade because that happened really quickly, and then it was off to the right. I mean, I was scalped out of that thing. That bar started 11:22, or no, I'm sorry, 10:11:22, 10:11:41, 10:12. I mean, that whole move happened in about 2 minutes. Where coming down, that one started at 9:30. And it took to 10:10. So 40 minutes it took to come down and about 3 minutes to go all that way up. And if you look, 10:11 all the way to the very high, it took maybe 12 minutes, 12 or 13 minutes, where it took 40 to come down, or 30, whatever I said a minute ago. That's just and I like this entry right here because it's off. I got that trend line by kind of drawing that line there, And when we came down and we closed right there, it's kind of a spiking channel. And I like this one because it broke below that bar first and immediately turned up. So I had to stop right there, added another, put another one on. And this one took a few minutes, but it broke on through, went right on up. And another easy scalp. And then you get the reversal. Notice you got this big double top. You break above it, it fails. There's a second entry short right there, but that's just a terrible setup. Again, look at all those overlap. It would have worked, but I just didn't like it. Too risky. I didn't like even this one. This was the failed second entry long, but it would have worked, and you could have scalped out of that. It actually failed right here. You could have entered there, scalped out real quick. You wouldn't have got any runners, but then you could have gotten right back in here, got an easy ride down. Then it comes back, it gives you a second entry short, another easy ride down, and then you recognize we're in when it bounces here again, and then you recognize we're in a trading range. And again, there's a setup coming right here, but it never triggered. It went higher first, and then it triggers right here, and guess where it goes? Right where you think it's going to go. And then you get another one right here. This all happened while we were, that's a great signal bar right there. That signal bar is not nearly as nice. Notice that it didn't close on its low. It's really just a first entry. You could look at it as a second entry. There's one leg up, pull back, second leg up. But now we failed out the bottom. There's a good chance we could go higher again. So the bias is really, you could call the bias down here. But really this is overall, this is a trading range day, so it's not a lot of bias. My guess is you could probably get a scalp out of that, but by entering here you don't have much room before getting right here. So you got to keep that in mind, and that would be the thing about entering on this one. And you can see it backed up there after it broke lower. It broke lower and then backed up. So you know, I'd try to use a limit order right there. Even then, I don't know if you've got enough room to get out. So if you entered there 1750, yeah, you needed one more tick, and the lows were down here. So even though it closed here, you had some lows. So that's probably a, I'm going to leave that one. This one I'm not so sure about. We'll see what happens with it. It's, you know, it's a doable trade. It's a little more aggressive because you had your failed break out the top, your failed break out the bottom. So there's a chance we could go a little higher here, although there's a chance we could still come down here and test these lows. And again, don't forget that you've got a possible channel here. Kind of looks like so. And notice we had a failed breakout here. We had a little one here, but it's not quite equal to that one. And if it came down here and shot on down and touched this, then we'd probably have about an equal breakout. But see, this one's backing back up again, so I just didn't like that trade. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't go higher from there. This channel may hold down here, even though we overshot the high side. And if this channel's in play and holds, then we really do kind of have an upward bias, although it's not a very strong one. So remember that a good healthy trend is about a 45-degree angle, and this one's more flat than 45-degree angle. So and that's what I saw today. But you know, it's getting really risky. Once you go in this range, you got to basically use range rules, and you know, you can't use your trend rules anymore. When you're trending from one side of a trading range to the other and you got a trend, you can use your trend rules. But once it was obvious this was a trading range, you had to use your trading range rules. And they're still trying to drive this thing down. Let's just watch it a minute and see if it would have got its scalp. It has to go. If you waited and entered on a limit order right there, which I watched it, you could have done that. That was 1775. So yeah, it's already gotten its 4 ticks. So yeah, you could have scalped. Even if you went in with a stop, it looks like you probably 1750. You know, you still could have got out. But you know, again, that's a risky trade. There's a lot of overlap right in there, but it is coming off the high side of the trading range. This is one, you know, would probably been better because it didn't quite close on its low. It's more of a doji, and it's kind of a breakout of this little trading. This is like a little, notice 1, 2, 3 overlapping bars there. It's kind of a little failed breakout that. Now maybe a little failed break again at the bottom, and you know, who knows? You gotta make sure you got room to get out from wherever you get in if it's a trading, and that's still a range. Notice we're bouncing off the low side now. It could still go lower, but you're seeing exactly what you would expect to happen when it turned down and then turns up. But they're not high probability trades at this point because we've already had our trend line break and moved down to a new low, and we're coming off the bottom low of a possible trend line right there. There's just a lot of reasons to be very suspicious of that trade right there. And that's about it for today. We're over 30, almost 32 minutes here. But I hope you learned something today. To the couple that sent me the chart, I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you learned something from that. And you know, you got to find your signal bar. It has to be a good one, and you got to get a break of it. You know, you can't guess and enter early, or you know, enter in the middle of it, or you know, I'm not sure exactly where you actually entered on that trade, but based on where your line is, it looks like you just entered in the middle of that bar. You know, you got to wait for this bar to close, and then your entry is below it if you're going short, or above it if you're going long. And it looks like you just entered in the middle of a bar, or maybe you waited on it to break below that one and then dropped a limit order in there. Maybe that's what you did. But that's a horrible setup right there. You don't want to go short on that bar right there. You know, you got to have a bar that's in your direction. So this was actually the signal bar for a setup for a short right here. And it did break below that. So that's the only thing I can assume is that you waited on that break and then dropped your limit order in there, maybe. Either that, or you just entered in the middle of this bar thinking it was real bearish, and it didn't turn out to be that way. So, but this is the signal bar on this entry, and it's a terrible one. It closed way up here on its high, so it's real suspect going short right there. Better off to wait on this bar and even then it's suspect because of all that stem. But notice you never got a break below that one. Then this was your next one, and again it's suspect because it's a doji. Now you got 1, 2, 3, 4 overlapping bars, a doji, and notice what happens. It broke out, it snaps back just like you'd expect, and then turns down. So you'd have been better off to wait and maybe think about going short there. I mean, just looking at that, I mean, it's just not a good place to enter. It's a trading range. And by that time, you should have probably noticed the lows across there, and that would have kept you from going short down here. You can see on my chart, you know, you could have entered on either one of those. This was the only one you couldn't really enter on right here that would have gotten you burned. But that's your first entry. There's your new low, your first entry. And your second entry didn't trigger till here. So that's the way I see that. And then by that time you should have recognized the trading range. And then you got a second entry here counting off the top. First entry, pull back, second entry. And you see this thing's still trying to go lower, but it's just really struggling over there. So, but 35 minutes worth. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.